That I
I
can
don't
agree
remember.
because Lihi yaad hai, so that is absolutely fine. But you attempted, right? Writing a poetry or something.
I I have written in like sixth or seventh standard. I don't remember.
Absolutely fine. And Mishti?
मैंने बहुत सारे लिखे हैं मोस्टली देर ऑल इंग्लिश ओनली आई डोंट राइट हिंदी बिकॉज मेरे को आई एम
Ah,
नॉट
poetry is
कंफर्टेबल
poetry.
तो
Poetry is
मैंने बहुत सारे
expression.
लिखे हैं एंड आई एम लाइक एंड ऑल्सो
Okay.
सदगुरु का जो बुक है आई हैवंट रेड मच थोड़ा सा मतलब मैंने रीड नहीं किया है मेरे को पता है वो भी है
Okay. ठीक है, ठीक है.
So
Anyone else?
so you are
आरोही
some
Yeah, even
you read some books and then write poetry, or you write on your own,
ओके सो
or
आई
you
गॉट
have
इट
seen
अब
some
ऐसा
books.
करते हैं हम पहले मैं अपनी एक छोटी सी जर्नी बताती हूँ सो दैट यू विल
Yeah,
नो फ्रॉम वेयर इट ऑल स्टार्टेड एंड कैसे हुआ देन वी कैन ओपन अप टू एनी क्वेश्चंस एंड एनीथिंग सो आई एम
yeah, sure.
बेसिकली समवन हु वाज born and brought up in Kerala. ठीक है माय पेरेंट्स आर फ्रॉम नॉर्थ इंडियन स्टेट्स बट आई वाज born and brought up in Kerala for like since my birth and then till 12th I was in Kerala so my main language was Malayalam. So I used to talk, write, and everything. My friend circle was in Malayalam and everything. It was only at home that I used to speak in Hindi. Okay, and my father was a poet.
Yeah.
My father's whole family side is like of literature circle. So they used to write poetries, they used to publish books, and they are very celebrated authors and everything. But I never took up poetry as something that I want to pursue or something. It was just that the school mein recitation competition hote hai na, elocution
Yeah,
competition,
yeah,
recitation. And because I was considered a Hindi North Indian girl, सो मुझे हमेशा पुश करके वो डाल देते थे टीचर्स जो है कि यार तुम तो पार्टिसिपेट करो हमारे क्लास से हमारे स्कूल से तो वैसे आई स्टार्टेड डेवलपिंग इंटरेस्ट एंड माय फादर यूज्ड टू प्रिपेयर मी पोएट्रीज एंड एवरीथिंग तो एक सबकॉन्शियस लेवल पे पोएट्री बिकेम समथिंग दैट आई गॉट इन टच विथ वेरी अर्ली इन माय चाइल्डहुड ठीक है एंड आफ्टर 12th लाइक बाय द टाइम आई स्टार्टेड ग्रोइंग अप एंड एवरीथिंग पोएट्री से टच छूट गया कंपटीशन में पार्टिसिपेट करना बंद कर दिया graduated no poetry existed over there then I went on to do my PG diploma in advertising and public relations in Delhi there also poetry had no existence in my life it was only after many years later on that I picked up poetry what happened in between was that I started my own business after my PG diploma. So I got into advertising. So because I am a PG diploma in advertising and public relation, हमने खुद की एजेंसी खोली मैंने और मेरे पार्टनर ने who is my husband right now and we ran our advertising agency for 5 years. Then we thought let's do something more crazy because this is not crazy enough. So we went into merchandising. And for another 5 years, we made merchandising for many different brands and movie production houses. We made for Justin Bieber, we made for A.R. Rahman, we made for Diljit Dosanjh, we made for many movies like Secret Superstar, for Flying Jet, and many other movies that came during those time, right? During those 2, 3 years. And what happened? We went into severe debt so we went into a debt of nearly 50 lakh during that period, which we are still paying off. It's still in the process of, we are still paying that off. But when we went into that amount of debt, we had to close down business at one point. And I moved back from Delhi, which is where my business was. And I moved back to my hometown in Jaipur to take a short break from everything because I went into a mental breakdown kind of a thing where I couldn't function properly. I couldn't function for what should be my next step because it was my 10 years of business that we dissolved. And we had to place all our employees that we had. We had 14 employees. We placed all of them in different companies before dissolving. And while I was recovering from all of that, poetry just happened to me. So I will get into that later. But I really wanted to talk about when this debt thing was happening, I started learning more about finances. So I joined workshops, I joined sessions where financial education could be helpful to me. I took counseling
yeah, yeah.
sessions like for myself. So I went into mental health counseling. That really helped me get out of all of this. But it took some good 2 years for me to be functional again. During that period of me shifting back to Jaipur, I used to do freelance writing. I used to go back to the clients with whom we used to work and ask them for work, but it didn't work for a long time. It was not a regular income that I could get from there. And when that was happening back in Jaipur, one of my friend was conducting an event for mothers. So Mother's Day ka event tha, in which we asked mothers to come and share their side of the story, poetry, and everything. But we also thought, let us have one person to write a poetry on mothers, dedicating it to the mothers who were performing on that evening, right? And I don't know out of where that friend asked me to write the poetry. अब इस दौरान this 10, 15, 20 years of my life, I had given up on poetry because I never picked up poetry at any point of time because I was into English copywriting. I used to rhyme and do some poetry in the name of jingles and everything for radio scripting, for TVC ads and everything. But I never wrote poetry. Like it was not in my existence that I'm doing poetry here. But because maybe I had a background, it came a little naturally to me. So when I was asked to write a poetry on mothers, um, I couldn't come up with a poem for good 5 days because first of all, I thought why he had asked me, why he thinks I can write something like that, and how I can perform on stage. I had not performed on a stage ever, I think, till that day. Because otherwise तो स्कूल में जब स्टेज पे परफॉर्म करते हो वही होता है, राइट? रैंडम ऑडियंस के सामने मैंने परफॉर्म नहीं किया था. So a day before the event, my friend followed up and said कि देख ले तुझसे कुछ होता है तो. And I thought, okay. And I was near my mother. So my mother had come home and I could see her, getting ready. We were about to leave for the evening outside. And suddenly I realized that कि mothers के लिए जब लिखने बैठते हो ना, तो you suddenly get this कि माँ सब कुछ है, माँ मतलब ये है, त्याग की मूर्ति है और भगवान है और सब कुछ है, right? But I couldn't visualize my mother like that because for my, like, as far as my mother was concerned, she used to do a lot of mistakes. बहुत गलतियां करती थी एंड हमसे इतनी बातचीत करती थी, हम लड़ते भी थे मम्मी से, मम्मी भी हमें डांटती थी. एंड इट वाज वेरी मच काइंड ऑफ अ वेरी coexistence wala thing where I never used to think of her as something of that godly existence or something. She was more of like our friend. So when I sat down to write that evening, I dedicated whole of it to my mother. So I imagined my mother, the conversations with my mother, and within next 15, 20 minutes, I penned down something. I narrated it to her then and there, and she cried a little bit. So when she got emotional, I realized that something has hit home. And then the next day, when it was the day to perform, if you see the video, if you watch the video, my hands are shivering and my lips are getting dry. I'm trembling actually, but people say that it's not visible. But if you closely see, I still can see that I'm shivering over there. The only advantage was that my mother was sitting in front because she was also one of the performers of that evening, and all the audience was mothers. So my poem just was being narrated to the audience for whom I had written. And half of them were crying by the end of the poetry. Um, that's when my journey began. Till this point, I was a miserable person who had no idea how to take this shattering, incident of business shutting down, not finding job on a regular basis, not knowing whether to go back to job or start another business. Because after functioning for 10, 12 years in a business, kind of an ecosystem, it's very difficult to put yourself into a job kind of an environment. So I was going through a lot during that time. And when this happened, something changed around. And I'm not saying it was overnight. For next 1 month, I just kept reading comments that I received below that poem. And I realized that people were really impacted by it. And you, as a poet or writer, never understand that thing which you get to see in the audience because you have written it as a very personal thing, but when it impacts very strangers across borders around you, and they talk about how it shifted their life or how they have started viewing their mothers differently and everything, you figure out the power of pen right then and there, right? So for 1 2 months, it went on like that. People congratulating and messaging me, sending me screenshots of WhatsApp circulation of that poetry and everything. But then Father's Day came, and people started sending in messages asking me, "Have you written anything for fathers?" And I was like, "Am I supposed to?" Because I never thought I would be writing another poetry. I never thought this as something that I will keep doing, right? It was a one-time thing. One day I wrote, one day I performed, and everything. But then, close circle, they said, Ki, why don't you give it a try? So on Father's Day, which is 19th March, I believe, I wrote a Father's Day poem, keeping my father in mind. And then it also was something that was well received by listeners and viewers. Then people started asking me, अच्छा हम आपकी पोइट्री और कहाँ कहाँ सुन सकते हैं, हम कहाँ पर हम आपकी सारी पोइट्री सुनना चाहें तो कहाँ जाएं? एंड आई थॉट ये तो मैंने सोचा ही नहीं, क्योंकि मैं जो सुनाती थी लिखती थी वो मैं डाल देती थी अपने इंस्टाग्राम में, फेसबुक में, जो उस टाइम पर जहां भी मैं एक्टिव होती थी. Then I started YouTube. I thought, okay, I need to have a channel where I can just put whatever poetry I'm narrating and talking about. And the Father's Day poetry, I narrated in front of a mobile camera right in my home. So no one invited me on stage or something. It was just something I recorded and put it out there with no mic or something, right? बहुत ही वो casual poetry मैंने वो पढ़ी थी. But what I'm saying is, sometimes you can't plan these things. It's a very organic space. It's something that keeps building up. And what really helped me during that time were two things. One was the act of surrendering, which I was really, really practicing at that time, because I had no control over any other thing, any other element that was around me. Everything was very random, dynamic, and I had no control over it. So I used to not question anything that was happening. अच्छा ये करना है, ठीक है. अच्छा यहाँ शिफ्ट होना है, ठीक है. अच्छा ये वाला घर ठीक है. अच्छा यहाँ जाना है, ठीक है. इससे मिलना है, ठीक है. That act of surrendering really took all the, जो एक heaviness होता है ना आपका, of figuring out क्या करे क्या करे क्या करे, वो heaviness आपका कहीं ना कहीं lift होने लगता है. You start really, putting it on to something unknown, and that we call universe, right? And it really worked for me. So I keep practicing it even today. The second thing that worked was that I didn't stick to this particular thing of कि नहीं मैं तो copywriter हूँ, नहीं तो मैं तो English copywriter हूँ, मैं तो English copywriting project से उठाऊंगी. And that really helped me when I started writing poetry. Soon after COVID आ गया था, right? 2019 में ये हुआ. And COVID के time पे the brands wanted something so that they can keep their audiences emotionally, connected to the brand. So some of the brands asked me to write poetries for them, um, explaining that, based on the brand, based on their audience, that how they can just share something emotional with their audience. And the money started coming from there. So what started as an act of surrendering really turned into something that I was not looking for. I was just looking for something that can get me regular income, that can sustain me during those times. And that really happened when I stopped looking for it. When I just focused on, अच्छा ये लिखना है, इसको मैं honesty के साथ इसको कैसे करूं. And it took 2 years for me to get financially stable, because then I started really working on it. One is when you write poetry based on your mood. One is when you are asked to write poetry based on a particular deadline, based on a brand, based on a set audience, and based on certain factors that they want in the poetry. So वो free flowing नहीं होती है. Then you will really have to work on your craft so that it sounds free flowing, so that when someone hears it, they don't feel nothing. It shouldn't be nothing. A poetry should really make something. It should really do something. It A poetry can't be nothing, right? Either it should make you amused, or it should make you feel happy, or it should make you feel motivated or inspired or sad or relatable to the level where you feel a little bit sadness in your heart. So that kind of emotions I started working around in my writing, and that took a lot amount of time, because that's when I picked up reading. So reading was not in my habit. I was more of a that kind of a reader कि जब time मिल रहा है तब पढ़ रहे हैं. And business में I never crafted any habit of reading or something. So then once the craft was said, once I realized that this is something I enjoy doing, which to date I enjoy. It's my 5th year of doing this. And till date, I absolutely enjoy this thing. Um, the day I write a poetry, I'm the happiest. I'm like, you will love me that day. Like you will be so happy to meet me because I am beaming with joy because I love writing that much. And if I haven't written for 5 days, 6 days, anything, you will find me very anxious. You will find me that what happened to her? What's the issue with her? So the writing does that to me. I really love this craft. So that is where right now I am. Right now we used poetry for many brands. We used various formats of writing. So instead of me just narrating it in front of the camera, we went into asking other people to narrate it, other people to enact it. We wrote for ad films, and there we had a whole story built around the poetry. So there is a lot of ad films you will find on my YouTube channel where I have written poetry based on the client. But if you listen to it, you won't get the feel of watching an ad. You will feel like I'm talking to you, right? Because that is all I can do. I realized it over a period of time that it doesn't require you to be in the same position of emotion to be able to write poetry, but you will have to write poetry in a way you feel about that emotion. Are you getting me? So, for example, I will tell you. Um, for example, if someone talks about LGBTQ community, okay, and they say that, why don't you write a poetry about that? And I don't know personally what the person is going through of that emotion where they are not accepted, where they fight every single day, and where sometimes it's not just easy. So I will try to understand what that emotion is like. Maybe I won't be able to write what they as a community go through, but I understand this emotion that they go through of feeling not accepted, of feeling alienated, or maybe uh, wanting to just live freely and not being questioned. This feeling we all can relate to, right? We all can relate to at different stages of our life. So we need not know the topic. We need to know the emotions that that topic can evoke or the community that we are trying to talk about. So as a poet, I can never say कि ये तो मेरे साथ हुआ ही नहीं, मैं तो लिख ही नहीं सकती. ऐसे तो मैं कुछ भी नहीं लिख पाऊंगी. Then I will have to really work on my experiences. So I will have to think about what is the emotion they're talking about. And it could be anything. It could be a financial consultant brand, it could be a real estate brand, it could be a jewelry brand. Because you are not going to write about jewelry. You're going to write about someone who is about to possess something that they have dreamt about. They want to wear it and feel good about it. You're going to write about the emotion behind that. And that took some time for me to understand and polish my craft, which is why today it's comparatively easy for me to draft something on any random topic in a given deadline, because that is where the trick is. Because deadline के अंदर में काम कर deadline के अंदर में emotions को feel करना and then to pen down, that is important. And same goes with any other services and business as well. You need to understand कि कितने भी artistic craft हो आपका, you will have to function in a commercial environment, and that is what I'm practicing right now. I do ad films, I do scripting for other ad films. I do performances and poetry for brands, and I also perform for my own happiness on stage. I do open mics. I'm in Mumbai. I shifted to Mumbai just 2-3 months ago, for the same reason, because I had to travel to Mumbai a lot of time from Jaipur. So after staying in Jaipur near my family for 5 years, I'm in Mumbai right now, and yeah, that's been my journey.
Anamika, before we get into more about you, I really want to know a little more about you. But before that, can you please recite the mother poem?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, how many of you have listened to that poem? Because I
Me.
would love if a few people have listened to, that would be great. Okay,
I have,
ठीक है.
I have.
परफेक्ट, ठीक है. सो आई एम जस्ट ओपनिंग इट बिकॉज मैं बहुत टाइम हो गया मुझे नरेट करे हुए जो है. So
अगर
see, this is all
लोग
about.
रोने लगेंगे अनामिका तो क्या करेंगे?
Sorry,
अदिति,
आपकी
who is.
पोयम सुन के लोग रोने लगेंगे तो क्या करेंगे?
नहीं नहीं वो तो that would be my win, right? That would be my win. See, मुझे ऐसा लगता है मुझे ना कुछ ब्रांड्स बोलते थे कि यार कुछ ऐसा पोएम लिखो जो लोग रो दे. एंड आई टेल देम दैट यू कैन नेवर राइट अ पोएट्री जिससे सुनकर लोग रो दे. यू कैन ओनली राइट पोएट्री विच इज सो रिलेटेबल that you can't help yourself from crying. It is not emotional, it is relatable. This poetry is not emotional. You cry because this has happened to you, this has happened to your mother, you have seen this happening or you have done this. That relatability is the factor why you cry. That relatability is the factor why you get chalked up. So you never write an emotional poem. I have never written an emotional poetry. My purpose is to write absolutely fucking amazing, sorry, relatable poetry. इतना relatable कि it really is like, अरे यार ये मेरे साथ हुआ है ना. तो मैं ना actually before getting into that poetry I will tell you that what kind of writing I wish to write. So I always say this कि जाने मुझे कैसा नाम चाहिए, जाने मुझे कैसा नाम चाहिए, उस नाम का जाने क्या दाम चाहिए. कलम जो उठे तो चेहरे मुस्कुराए, शब्द मेरे तुम्हें कस कर गले लगाए. तुम बोल उठो, तुम बोल उठो कि अरे ये तो मेरे मन की बात है. तुम बोल उठो कि अरे ये तो मेरे मन की बात है और ये बात मेरे हर काम में नजर आए. महफिल सजे मेरे शब्दों की ऐसी शाम चाहिए, जाने मुझे कैसा नाम चाहिए. So this is where I want to be always with my craft. That just that you keep on saying कि यार हाँ ये मेरे साथ हुआ है. Right? So I will just get on to my mother's poetry. कि वो माँ है, वो माँ है तो गलत कैसे हो सकती है भला. वो माँ है तो गलत कैसे हो सकती है भला. परवरिश में कोई कमी ना रह जाए, टिफिन में खाना एकदम स्वादिष्ट जाए, बच्चों के कपड़े वक्त पे धुल जाएं, एक भी दाग रह ना जाए. वो माँ है, वो गलत कैसे हो सकती है भला. नौकरी करनी चाहिए तो बच्चों ने रोक दिया, कुछ घर पर ही करना चाहा तो सबने टोक दिया. तुम माँ हो, तुम भला अपना वक्त बच्चों से कैसे छीन सकती हो. तुम माँ हो, तुम भला अपने लिए कैसे जी सकती हो. बचपन से हम बच्चों ने माँ पर कुछ ऐसा प्यार जताया कि माँ को हमेशा सही करने के लिए मजबूर ही पाया. माँ, दोस्तों के सामने नाक मत कटवाना. सुनो माँ, स्कूल में ना कुछ प्रॉपर पहन कर आना. आप अंग्रेजी बोलने की कोशिश मत किया करो, आप रहने ही दो, घर पे रहा करो. जो माँ बच्चों की गलतियों को 1000 बार माफ कर देती है, वो माँ खुद कभी गलत नहीं हो सकती है. खैर, हमारे साथ माँ भी बड़ी हुई पर आज भी देखती हूँ उन्हें अपने आंखों के कोने से मुझे देखते हुए, जैसे पूछ रही हूँ कि सही तो पहना है ना, यही बोलना है ना, ऐसे करो कि वैसे करो. जिस माँ से हमने सब कुछ सीखा वो ताउम्र हम बच्चों से सीखने की कोशिश करती रही कि माँ होकर कहीं गलत ना हो जाऊं, जैसा बच्चा चाहे वैसा बनकर दिखाऊं. तो आज माँ मैं आपसे माफी मांगती हूँ, आज माँ मैं आपसे माफी मांगती हूँ. वादा करती हूँ आपके साथ खड़ी रहूंगी, आप सही करो या गलत, आपसे जुड़ी रहूंगी। हमसे ना कोई इजाजत ना मांगना, जो मन करे ना बस वो करते जाना। माँ, आप गलत हो सकती हो, आप जैसी भी हो माँ ही रहोगी। आपको भगवान बनाकर नहीं रखेंगे, आप इंसान बनकर जियोगी। खुलकर गलतियां करना, खुलकर जीना। और जैसे आप खड़ी थी हमारे साथ, वैसे मैं आपके साथ खड़ी रहूंगी। वैसे मैं आपके साथ खड़ी रहूंगी। दैट्स इट। जिसने पहली बार सुनी, डिड इट रीच होम?
Yeah.
थैंक यू। हाँ जी।
So I have one question.
या
So you choose like basically like each basically one topic that you have write or you're writing like random and all. So basically you choose one topic basically or you so basically you choose like one topic and you're writing on that or basically you randomly like
So now what happens is, मोस्टली व्हाट हैपन, अभी बताती हूँ मैं हम मेरे साथ क्या होता है. Mother's poetry became viral, right? And then there was one more poetry which I wrote on husband-wife relationship that went viral. So there is
yeah
this thing where brands usually come to me for women-related topics, and also I do a lot of conversation around women and finance because I went through that phase of understanding finance, right? So I talk a lot about financial education for women and the significance of it and everything around it. So what happened? The brand ecosystem was highly around women topics and everything. And because I relate a lot, because I really have high like opinion around that topic and very, opinion that I grew up with, opinion that I built around my experiences and everything. So it comes very easy to me. It comes very natural to me talking about women and other aspects of that relationship or other aspects of their struggles and challenges. But I write on anything and everything. So if you go to my YouTube channel, I write on chai, I write on free time, I write on love, I write on men. I wrote on men from my perspective. Obviously, I can't write from their perspective. Um, and any topic, any topic. So I choose to write on any topic. But yes, I also realized it over a period of time that category wise, it comes easy to me to talk about women. It comes easy to me to talk about the conversations that me, my mother, my sister used to have with each other. Those are the foundation of my poetry today. So even today, when I talk to my sister, something goes here. कि अच्छा 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 ये लिखना है यार, ये बहुत ये सही बोल रही है, अच्छा चल रहा है ये और भी लोग रिलेट कर पाएंगे. So now the organic or very natural flow of my thoughts go around conversations that happen around women. But I write on everything. I pick random topics. I love writing motivational, inspirational content because uh, that is where I thrive. That is my capsule. And I love to talk about it. Everyday motivation is not easy. There is nothing like everyday motivation. So I try to write poetry that can, for a moment, make you feel good. That's it. Yeah, Pranav.
So, hi Anamika. So, when you say you write on topics randomly as well, so do you ever have to research on the topic? Say, if, today what you said was you write on say mom, mother, या father, या relationships, या certain experiences that you have been through. But suddenly आपको सब बोलेंगे flower के बारे में लिखो, या sun के बारे में लिखो, या
Hmm.
maybe something like कोई astronaut travel कर रहा है space में. So
Hmm.
do you kind of have to research, or you will still go by your way of imagining it?
My way. Absolutely my way. I will research because I will want to know if I can add some depth into the poetry. So I will tell you one thing. You got a project to write on Bitcoin. Now I have no idea what Bitcoin is, but I know there are many people who have no idea about what Bitcoin is. So I can write for them, right? So I wrote a poetry कि क्या आपको भी उतना ही पता है Bitcoin के बारे में जितना मुझे पता है? And I started my poetry like that. You need not research on Bitcoin to write a poetry about Bitcoin. If Bitcoin confuses you, if it's a complex aspect of your life that really came from nowhere and hit you and you were not ready for it, I will write about that. So you need to be relatable. Now, if I research Bitcoin, but people listening to me will have to, understand Bitcoin to get the poetry, then there is no point. So I will write on any topic, but my primary inclination would be my take on it. And if I need to know more, for example, even if I am writing on women, I will try to go through what are the laws, what are the legal aspects of marital rape, just to understand, that aspect. But I will write on marital rape on my, like the way I had a conversation with one of my friends. But I will still research because मुझे भी उसके बारे में जानना है. So one of my poet friend wrote on सितारों से आगे करके poetry, life beyond stars. But so when he wrote, he imagined as a poet what would it be like if there is a life beyond stars. उसके लिए उनको astronomy या geological understanding की जरूरत नहीं है. But your imagination is your strength at this point, and your observation definitely. So that is another thing which I would like to add. I don't write a poetry the moment I get the topic in my head. I will just leave it in my head. By automatically my inclinations, my listening and everything will turn towards that topic. अगर मैं कुछ देख रही हूँ, रील देख रही हूँ, टीवी देख रही हूँ, मेरे आसपास लोग बात कर रहे हैं, तो मैं ऑब्वियसली मेरी लिसनिंग ऐसे हो जाएगी कि मुझे इस टॉपिक के अराउंड चीजें सुनने में आने लगेगी. तो वो आई लेट दैट हैपन फॉर अ वीक before getting into, if I have the deadline or I have the luxury of that. But yeah, so to answer you, I go with my take for any topic. Any other question? कोई सवाल?
A little focus on your title, बत्तों की बकवास. Can you
अच्छा.
just little highlight on that?
Oh, very simple story. अब मुझे story create करनी पड़ी because people used to ask me. But the time when I named myself बत्तों की बकवास, बत्तों is my name, my घर का नाम, जो मुझे शर्म आती थी कि मम्मी पापा बाहर ना बुला ले. But when all of this happened, when I went into debt, I was going through a mental breakdown, everything happened. So when poetry happened, I wanted to get back to my that part. मैं बहुत acceptable हो गई थी of myself. So I adopted Batto as the name, as a figurative way of letting myself know that I am fine with it. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to be fine with this name. So Batto became that pen name for me. And Bakwas because I really feel कि अगर मैं कुछ और रखती, बत्तों की बातें, बत्तों का या whatever, एक है ना फ्रिक्शन पॉइंट आ जाता है लोगों को. एक तो मैं टॉपिक ऐसे लिखती हूँ, है ना, तो लोगों को ऑलरेडी फ्रिक्शन पॉइंट आ जाता है कि हे भगवान फिर से कुछ ज्ञान का बोलने आ गई है जो है. और मुझे वो फ्रिक्शन हटाना था. तो आई वांटेड टू से दैट कि व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इट्स बकवास. तो कम लिसन टू मी, इट इज बकवास, कम हैव अ लिसन. एंड वो फ्रिक्शन पॉइंट हटता है तो देन लोग लिखते हैं अरे ये तो बकवास नहीं है. मैंने कि दैट इज फाइन, but you listen to it, right? You had no this thing कि अरे सुने कि नहीं सुने वाला. So बकवास is something I say to myself because I believe मैं जो भी बोलती हूँ it is not to be taken seriously. Circumstances change, perspectives change, context change, life around us change. I may not find the poetry I wrote few years back relatable for myself today. So I really want to put it out there that don't take anything out there seriously. It is not a way of life that you need to adopt it as. If I have said something like this, because impact होने लगता है ना, you need to be really careful if there is an impact. I had certain responses to आखिर तुम होते कौन हो, my another poetry. which actually went more viral than maa tum bhi galat ho sakti ho, of finally women taking charge and separating from their partners because they had been thinking over it for a long time and they took that step. So when you start seeing that level of impact with your poetry, you assert again and again that really whatever you listen to really get into your ecosystem, your context of functioning, because it's easy you can inspire someone to do something, but you will have to give everything a benefit of doubt. So bakwas word gives me the benefit of doubt, that you can doubt what I'm saying. It is absolutely shit anyway, bakwas. So yeah, that's it. That's the only reason. I created a video later on citing 7 reasons why there is bakwas in my name, because people who really loved my poetry started getting angry at me कि आप क्या साबित करना चाहते हैं बकवास बोल के, आप ऐसी बातें करते हैं फिर आप बकवास बोलते हैं, ये बकवास नहीं है, विमेन राइट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक है और आप इसको बकवास नहीं बुला सकते हैं. एंड दैट वाज माय प्रॉब्लम विद पोएट्री, that it shouldn't be taken seriously. As soon as you make a genre serious, the acceptability, the absorbability of that poetry as a medium to reach out to people lessens. So you will have to be really conversational in your attitude, in your mannerism, and don't make poetry this sacred thing. So yeah, I call it bakwas for a lot of many reasons, including this. And it shield है ना मेरा, कि अगर कोई बोले कि आपने ऐसे कैसे कह दिया तो मैं बोल सकते ना यार मैं तो कह ही रही थी बकवास. Yeah.
Hi, Anamika. Is there any chance that you will be attending Jaipur Literature Festival?
No, I'm attending Spoken Fest during the same time in Mumbai.
Oh, okay. Actually, we
Yeah,
are in
it's
Jaipur now to attend the Jaipur Literature Festival. So I was
yeah,
hoping I
I
could meet
generally
you.
attended. I generally
Yeah.
attended, but क्योंकि मैं जयपुर में ही रहती थी. I stopped attending it 2 years ago after COVID. But इस टाइम तो ये हो गया कि मेरे काफी फ्रेंड्स जयपुर में गए हुए हैं and I am in Mumbai. Same dates. It's happening on the same
Okay.
date. Spoken Fest and Lit Fest. Yeah.
So I was thinking we could meet you.
And
Actually,
absolutely,
we are
you will
from
enjoy
Kerala.
Lit Fest. Ah, nice. എനിക്ക് മലയാളമൊക്കെ അറിയാം കേട്ടാ.
Ah. So, can I
Yeah.
get your
എനിക്ക്
number? Is that okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Preeti has my number. She will put
Yeah,
it
I
in
will.
the chat
Yeah.
at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anamika,
So
next
Yeah.
question would be like here in Aarohi community, we are all open learners where we all move out of conventional schooling system and we work towards our passions and we find our calling in our passions. So when we heard you, we like connected with you instantly. So would you like to a little bit share upon the fact that life में जब जो कुछ भी हो रहा है everything is perfect that way? I don't know, like how do I connect it with the open learning thing? Here the youngsters who are passionate towards their thing, like Srijani is into baking and Ishan is
Can
into
anyone define
digital
passion
design.
for me? I have never understood that word. Can anyone define passion for me? Akansha?
It's something that you kind of want to do in future. You want to take up it as a job and maybe
And what if one day you get bored by it?
find a new passion.
Perfect. Okay, so there is nothing like a passion thing. It's right then and there that works for you. Something that works for you at that period of time, that gives you joy, that gives you sustainability. Never, never take sustainability lightly. It gives you freedom. It gives you absolute freedom to do many other things in your life. And a passion should have an angle where you find joy, but it should have a bigger purpose as well. So sometimes what happens is कि मुझे तो यही करना अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है, but it's not giving you the lifestyle that you want to, or it's not giving the people around you the happiness. And I'm not saying you need to work on things that gives people around you happiness, but passion as a word is very overrated. And I usually find in, like, as I grew up, I found that there is this age also in which your passion kind of have different meanings, because right now you are at a stage where you know you need to experiment everything and anything. Don't stick to a single thing. I personally feel that as many things you try, you get a more solid cemented idea on what works for you in the long term. But if you keep focusing on one habit or one hobby or one aspect of art form for a long time, expose yourself to different kind of art forms. Even if you are good at something, be a part of a community where you are not good at that. Absolutely. For example, if I am a poet but I am very bad at dancing, I would join a dance course where I am the weakest person, right? I will go and do quilling where I have no idea what quilling is. So expose yourself to communities and places where you are not good at that particular skill set. That is your absolute growth. What you're good at, you will learn automatically. You will read about it, you will ask about it, you will find all the facts and figures that is there to be. You will collect resources and that is required for you. आप जिद्दी भी बन जाओगे उसके लिए, जिद भी कर लोगे and everything, because you're good at it. It gives you a kind of a satisfaction that I'm getting good at it. But parallelly, try to expose yourself to uncomfortable spaces, uncomfortable, boring things. Practice boredness, getting bored. If you don't know how to get bored, it's you can't be excited all the time, even in your passion. You can't be excited about your the thing that you're good at all the time. So be okay with getting bored. Be okay with not doing anything or doing the same thing over and over again. That is what it will actually turn into something only if you're doing something by not looking excitement in it. तो हमारे साथ ये प्रॉब्लम बहुत थी कि यार ये तो कर लिया यार, अब क्या करें। और ये खतरनाक है कि ये तो कर लिया, अब क्या करें, बिकॉज यू आर कंटिन्यूअसली वांटिंग समथिंग इंटरेस्टिंग टू हैपन इन योर लाइफ, एंड दैट इज नॉट हाउ लाइफ इज। लाइक, you can make it interesting even in your mundane schedule. You can make your life interesting and everything, but ordinary things, a mundane day, you should be fine with it. Don't jump into making everything exciting. So yeah, when Preeti is asking कि passion को कि भाई जो कर रहे हो सब बढ़िया हो रहा है, आप प्लान कर लो, वो वैसे भी नहीं होने वाला। आप करके देख लो। मुझे आज 37 साल हो गए, मेरा एक भी कोई प्लान किया हुआ नहीं गया है, और अच्छा हुआ नहीं गया। मेरे प्लानिंग तो, our planning and his planning, like the universe planning, is so widely different that it's rather good to enjoy where you are, whatever you are doing, what you have. Never think that कि मेरे पास ये नहीं है ना इसलिए मैं ये नहीं कर पा रही। You are not up for it. You are not figuring it out. You are not too eager to do it. If you are eager to do it, you will do it with absolutely nothing in your hand. But if you find yourself saying this again and again, मम्मी ये ला दो तो मैं ये कर लूंगी, वो होता ना तो मैं ये कर लेती, अगर मैं क्लास ले लेती ना तो मैं अच्छी तरह ये कर लेती। इट इज अवर शील्ड, इट इज अवर, क्या बोलते हो, सहारा, टू नॉट पुट अवर सेल्फ टू मच इनटू एनीथिंग। तो मैं आधे टाइम तो इसलिए पोएट्री नहीं पढ़ती थी शुरू शुरू में कि एक अच्छा माइक नहीं है। अब वो आप एक ट्राइपॉड देख रहे होंगे मेरे पीछे, मैं ना किताब के आगे मोबाइल लगाकर, लेकिन मैं रोती थी कि ट्राइपॉड नहीं है ना इसलिए मेरी वीडियो अच्छी नहीं बन रही। वो ट्राइपॉड काम नहीं आता, मेरा 6000 का ट्राइपॉड है। दैट इज द थिंग। If you have all the resources, you won't do what you will not figure it out. It's good that you don't have all the resources. अगर आपके रिसोर्सेस नहीं होंगे, you will figure out what you are really interested in, because you will find time, resources, ways to do it. तो डोंट कलेक्ट टू मेनी। अच्छा, ड्राइंग करनी है, पहले कलर बुक लाएंगे, पहले हम पेंसिल, स्केच, ये वाटर पेंट वो लाएंगे। मेरे ड्रॉ में भरे पड़े, कई के तो पैकेट ही नहीं खुले। क्या करती हूँ मैं, वो बाहर एक पेन पड़ा रहता है रेनॉल्ड्स का, उससे बनाती हूँ। लेकिन जब सिर्फ रेनॉल्ड्स था तब नहीं बनाती थी। दैट इज द थिंग। सो आई जस्ट वांट टू से कि पैशन वैशन छोड़ो, जो जैसा हो रहा है वैसा एंजॉय करते जाओ, जो करने का मैंने ट्राई करते जाओ, एक्सपेरिमेंट टू ऑफन, डोंट गेट स्टिक टू वन थिंग. If you are interested in something, go deep into it, expose yourself to things where you are a foolish person. और एक चीज, बच्चे हो ना इसलिए बोल रही हो, बेइज्जती से मत डरना. जितनी जल्दी बेइज्जती का कोटा पूरा करते जाओगे, यू विल रियली रीच समवेयर जहां पर तुम्हें इज्जत मिलने लग जाएगी. लोगों के सामने बोलना कि यार मैं बोलूं कि नहीं बोलूं, यार ये लोग क्या सोचेंगे, हाँ बोल दो. सोचेंगे, बेइज्जती करेंगे, कोटा पूरा हो रहा है मान लो. कोटा पूरा हो रहा है तुम्हारा. एक कोटा सबको पूरा करना है, या इस उम्र में कर लो या बड़े होकर कर लो. इस उम्र में आसानी रहेगी. जहां जो बोलना है, जो पूछना है, जो करना है, ये मत सोचो कि अरे यार कोई क्या सोच रहा होगा. अभी अगर आप ये सोचने लग गए, अभी प्रॉपर प्रॉपर रहने लग गए, तो बड़े होके फिर बड़े होके करना पड़ेगा. कोटा तो पूरा करना पड़ेगा.
So
आज
one
मैं नहीं बोल सकती.
question.
सॉरी.
I have one
What is
question.
बेइज्जती?
बेइज्जती, इंसल्ट,
Embarrassed.
embarrassment, awkwardness,
Embarrassed.
being uncomfortable. यार ये यहाँ ये करूंगी तो क्या सोचेगी मेरे बारे में, यार मुझे बेवकूफ मानेंगे, यार इज्जत चली जाएगी. देयर इज नथिंग लाइक इज्जत. जितना इज्जत
Respect. Izzat is respect.
रेस्पेक्ट, रेस्पेक्ट की तो बिल्कुल परवाह मत किया करो. ये रेस्पेक्ट सबसे ज्यादा बड़ा दुश्मन है. हम रेस्पेक्ट पाने के चक्कर में बहुत सारी चीजें नहीं करते. हम बड़े लोग ही नहीं करते. तो तुम लोगों को तो मैं इसलिए बोल रही हूँ कि मैंने बहुत मुश्किल से सीखा. मैं तो अभी भी उसमें फंसी हूँ वेरी फ्रैंकली. लेकिन मैं बता दूं कि डोंट स्टिक टू बीइंग द स्मार्टेस्ट पर्सन. इफ यू आर द स्मार्टेस्ट, if you try to be
So
and listen,
तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है. अच्छा,
don't
तो
be smart.
अगर हम लेट्स लाइक आई माइट बी आस्किंग टू मच अनामिका फ्रॉम यू, बट कैन नॉट मिस ऑन दिस कि टाइम खत्म हो जाए और आप चले जाओ और हम आपसे ये पोएम सुन ना पाए. तो प्लीज हमें तुम होते कौन हो, अगर इफ यू डोंट माइंड प्लीज सुना दो.
I would not mind, but Preeti, I think this is the not audience for Tum Hote Kono, because they won't
Yeah.
get it. They won't
Okay.
understand what it is meant to be. So I would rather मैं कुछ छोटा सा इंस्पिरेशनल सा सुना थोड़ा,
Yes, yes.
है ना,
Carry.
जिद्दी
Yeah,
लोगों के
yeah.
लिए. तो मैं ना ऐसे, मुझे जिद्दी लोग बहुत पसंद है. तो मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ कि देर इज नथिंग लाइक फेलियर. तो आपने सुना ही नहीं होगा, ये तो सभी बोलते हैं, देर इज नथिंग लाइक फेलियर एंड एवरीथिंग. बट क्या होता है कि मुझे उन लोगों में बहुत स्ट्रेंथ दिखती है जो बार बार फेल होके तुरंत उठ जाते हैं. एंड मैं इसको बड़े कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी नहीं कह रही हूँ. मान लो तुमने आज सोचा कि यार मैं अब से मॉर्निंग वॉक में जाऊंगी. ठीक है, तुम 5 दिन गए, छठवें दिन नहीं गए, 7वें दिन नहीं गए, 8वें दिन नहीं गए, एंड तुमने अपने आप को बोलना शुरू कर दिया मैं ऐसी हूँ, मैं ना ऐसी हूँ, मैं ना कुछ रेगुलरली कर ही नहीं सकती हूँ, मेरे से तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है, मैं जितनी बार मैंने प्लान किया है मैंने बीच में छोड़ दिया है, मुझसे तो कभी होगा ही नहीं, पता नहीं लोग कैसे कर लेते हैं. अगर आप 10वें दिन भी जा रहे हो या 15वें दिन भी जा रहे हो ना, दैट इज द रियल स्ट्रेंथ. कुछ नहीं रखा, 6 दिन गए, 10 दिन नहीं गए, फाइन, 11वें दिन जाओ. बट ये जो तुम खुद को कह के फिर लेट गो कर देते हो ना, दैट इज वेयर द प्रॉब्लम इज. सो आई, दिस इज लाइक फॉर देम who fail and then pick from where they left. They don't have this qualms about कि मैं रेगुलर नहीं हूं एंड एवरीथिंग. नहीं किया अभी, 10 दिन बाद कर लो यार, 20 दिन बाद कर लो, 6 महीने बाद कर लो, पर डोंट पुट योर सेल्फ डाउन एंड स्टॉप ट्राइंग बिकॉज कि मेरे से होता ही नहीं है ना. तो उनके लिए है कि जब तुम बार बार हार कर भी हो जाते हो उठ खड़े, जब तुम बार बार हार कर भी हो जाते हो उठ खड़े, तर्क खुद को देते हो कि काम करने हैं बड़े, आदतें जो राह रोके रोज उनसे तुम लड़े, हर अधूरी कोशिशों की नापते हो तुम जड़े, हर बहाने तोड़े दम कदम बस आगे ही बढ़े, जिद तुम्हारी हो अडिग वजह न कोई अब अड़े. हाँ ये बात है सही कि रोज गिरते सब यहाँ, पर शिखर पर है वही जो पीछे ख्वाबों के पड़े, जो पीछे ख्वाबों के पड़े. That.
That was super fantastic. Hmm. People questions.
Yeah, I have a
No
question.
more question.
Yeah, I have a question. Like generally when I write poems, like you sometimes, like you just don't have an idea of what
Once,
else to write.
1 second, Srijani, I think she's not there.
Yeah,
Uh,
sorry.
She's
okay.
yeah. Carry on, Srijani.
Yeah, I have a question. Like generally when at least I write poems, I have this block somewhere. Like when I continues, I'll write like 4 or 5 lines and then I don't know what to write. So do you ever had that and how do you kind of deal with it? Or do you
Yeah,
have any suggestions
I do
for
have,
me?
but you will have to do it. Write a bad poem. You stop because you don't get the next good line. Write bad, finish it off. Never leave a poem in between because you are not able to write good. Write a bad poetry. Be it a bad poetry. What stops us is wanting to try good. That's it. That's the formula. Never leave it unfinished. वो हम बोलते हैं कि
Okay.
बहुत दिनों बाद नल खुलता है तो पहले जंग वाला पानी आता है ना, ब्राउन वाला। पर आप सोचो कि नहीं यार, पहले से साफ पानी आएगा तो ही नल खोलूंगा। आपको जंग वाला पानी निकालना पड़ेगा ना, उसके पीछे आएगा साफ पानी।
हम्म।
लेकिन आप ये बोल के बंद करके बैठो नल को कि नहीं, अब जब साफ हो जाएगा ना पूरा पानी तब मैं लिखूंगा या तब मैं करूंगी, तब खोलूंगा। तो write as many bad poetry as possible for to be able to write a poetry that you don't think about whether it's good or bad. It just comes from you because you are fine with it.
And also, how do you keep updating yourself with different vocabulary, different words, different meanings,
Reading,
like different references and all of that?
reading, and also reading different genres. अगर मैं बोलूँगी पोएट्री किताबें पढ़ूंगी, नहीं होगा। मैं फिक्शन भी पढ़ती हूँ, मैं इंग्लिश भी पढ़ती हूँ, मैं हिंदी भी पढ़ती हूँ, मैं डिफरेंट ऑथर्स पढ़ती हूँ, ऑटोबायोग्राफीज पढ़ती हूँ। बिकॉज आई एम नॉट रीडिंग विद द पर्पस कि मेरी वोकैब बढ़ जाए। वो रिफ्लेक्ट हो जाएगी, वो स्ट्रेस के साथ नहीं पढ़ती हूँ मैं। वो रिफ्लेक्ट होनी होगी, हो जाएगी। बट आई रीड फॉर द प्लेजर ऑफ रीडिंग। आई डोंट रीड फॉर एज एन एक्सरसाइज और एज अ वे टू एनहांस माई क्राफ्ट। आई डोंट डू दैट बिकॉज अगर वैसे करने लग गई तो रीडिंग मेरे लिए हार्ड हो जाएगा। सो आई पिक what I love to read and I expose myself to different things and reading. Absolutely. There is no other way. And writing, because that's how you put your reading into use. And you will see कि एक दिन आपने ऐसा वर्ड यूज किया जो आपको पता ही नहीं था कि आपको आता है, एंड वो फिट हो गया वहां। कैसे हो गया, कहाँ से आया, यू विल नॉट रिमेम्बर। आई एम टेलिंग यू, यू वोंट नो कहाँ से आया वो वर्ड।
True. Yeah, I get it.
एंड यू आर लाइक ये वर्ड मुझे आता भी है। रीडिंग एंड राइटिंग, दैट्स इट, देयर इज नो अदर वे।
Okay. Thank you.
वेलकम।
So, as a person, मतलब मैं भी बहुत मैं बहुत लिखती थी, पर I used to write on maybe prompts या I used to write about experiences कि मतलब मैंने ये चीज किया है, तो ये चीज के ऊपर I will write कि how I felt through it, how what I experienced. But many times when I'm writing, I don't मतलब आप मैंने ये भी आपके पोएम में देखे कि you are not or in more poetry I've seen it's not always just the rhyming part, it's like the expressing part ki poetry is about expressing yourself. So do आपको ऐसा what do you feel after writing a poetry, like do you feel relieved, आपको लगता है कि कुछ निकल गया, like that way?
हाँ। So that depends on the poetry I'm writing. So if I'm writing for a brand, I'm relieved that किसका पैसा आ जाएगा. And if I'm writing for myself, I'm relieved that this thought came out the way I want. I never try to rhyme because if you try to rhyme, वो आपका नेचुरल फ्लो नहीं होगा. सो इफ यू वॉच सम ऑफ माई पोएट्री, तो ये मैंने करने की कोशिश की बिकॉज देन नाउ यू वांट टू बी स्मार्ट, राइट? 2 पोएम वायरल हो गए, अब आपको स्मार्ट बनना है. तो मैंने कोशिश की कि अरे यार अब तो ऐसे वर्ड वैसा वर्ड और ऐसा लिखूंगे वैसा लिखूंगे, एंड इट डिडंट वर्क फॉर मी बिकॉज आई वाज ट्राइंग टू साउंड स्मार्ट, trying to rhyme a sentence with another sentence, a word with another word. And that didn't work for me. So I went back to my style where I used to write long sentences. So if you read my poetry, you will feel like a poetry hai kya? I say it in a rhythm, so it sounds like poetry. But for example, Nirbhaya जो मेरी poetry है, वो निर्भया इंसिडेंट के ऊपर थी, and I was not able to write it. There was this person who is no more. She left us during COVID, but she really wanted me to write on it. She was adamant that I should write on it. And because I couldn't write, I started with a sentence कि मेरे अंदर इतना कुछ है लिखने को जो वो जाने से पहले बोल ही नहीं पाई. So that sentence is not rhyming, but I will say it in a rhythmic format, so it will sound rhymingly कि मेरे अंदर इतना कुछ है लिखने को जो वो जाने से पहले बोल ही नहीं पाई. सबने कितना कुछ कहा है उस हादसे के बारे में, जिस पर गुजरी वो तो अपनी जुबान खोल ही नहीं पाई. And you can write any format. There is no set format. Learning the format is important. Craft is important, the techniques of it, so that you can break away from that craft or the techniques of it. आपको टेक्निक ही नहीं पता तो आप एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं कर सकते उस क्राफ्ट के साथ में. दैट्स द ओनली थिंग. बट या देयर इज नो सेट फॉर्मेट फॉर राइटिंग पोएट्री और एनीथिंग. सो आई राइट एंड इफ इट डजंट फील लाइक कि मैं जो सोच रही थी वो लिख पाई, देन आई एम वेरी अनहैप्पी एट टाइम्स, बिकॉज मेरे मन में है पर मुझे वो लिखना नहीं आ रहा. मेरे अंदर जो है वो समझ नहीं आ रहा कि मैं उतारूं कैसे. एंड दैट इज वेरी डिस्टर्बिंग एट टाइम्स, बिकॉज it just means that वो thought बहुत पका नहीं है आपके अंदर. It's very vague in your head.
So
Did
I just have a small doubt. Since you said
Can you
you
give me 1 second? I'm getting a call from my husband for like bar. Just give me 1 second.
Gosh,
It's okay. Sorry, I'm really sorry.
it's a
Yeah.
So since you told you write the poems for advertisement like ads and all, so I am really curious, how do you kind of write a poem for an ad? Like
So
there is no like there's like you can write a poem for a mother, but how can you write a poem for an ad?
so I wrote a poem for a mother who featured in an ad. So the ad is about a mother-daughter who was trying to prepare a cake. It was for Voltas. Voltas brand जो है equipment का, electronic items and home appliances का. So a mother was trying to cook a cake kind of a thing with her daughter. And वो केक क्या हुआ कि अचानक से डॉटर ने कुछ ऐसा हाथ हिलाया कि केक खराब हो गया माँ ने जो बनाया था. Now Ma is about being perfect. So I wrote a poetry on a mother always trying to being perfect, and that ad showcases a visual where the mother is telling herself that it's fine that the cake got ruined. The major idea is to have a good time with her daughter. So the poetry is about that. So it's playing in her voiceover in the background, and the storyline is showing the visuals of she preparing the cake with her daughter, then she getting into a dancing mode, and then coming back through dance. She's enacting the lyrics of that poetry, and then she coming back to her daughter. Who is fine with baking a rather ऐसा ही केक जो दिखने में अच्छा नहीं है, but the daughter is so happy baking it. So she understands that the real joy is in baking it. It's not in decorating it or in making it perfectly or something. So the poetry is running in the background. The visual is showing the ad. The visual is showing the mother using the Voltas appliance. The visual is showing fridge in the background or the microwave in the, using. So that is how in an ad, a poetry could work. And it takes a certain type of ad. So, and the poetry ads are majorly for brand building. It is less for selling or product description. It is more for brand building. So if a brand wants to create a customer connect, a poetry would address the brand's audience as a voiceover in the background. or with me in the forefront. That's it. You can watch some of the ads, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me how it came into
Sure.
execution.
So quickly, Anamika, would you like to share all the places that you are there? Like you are on podcast, you're on YouTube,
Oh,
and
podcast.
many places. Yeah. So
सो आई मेरा सारा काम बत्तों की बकवास के नाम के अंडर में होता है. सो आई रिसेंटली स्टार्टेड अ पॉडकास्ट. आई फिनिश्ड सीजन 1 of that podcast, and the purpose of that podcast is again very organic because people used to ask me आप कैसे लिखते हो, and I never had any answer because as now you know I never learned poetry as a technique or craft. So I realized that अब मैंने तुमसे बातचीत की तो तुम्हें थोड़ा आइडिया लग गया है ना पोएट्री कैसे होती है क्या होती है. तो मैंने सोचा अच्छा ऐसा काम करते हैं कि मैं और पोएट्स के साथ में और स्टोरी टेलर्स के साथ में बातचीत करती हूँ. तो उनसे बातचीत अगर आप सुनोगे तो इट्स काइंड ऑफ अ वर्कशॉप, इट्स काइंड ऑफ अ मास्टर क्लास. बिकॉज बातों से जितना पता लग सकता है मैं आपको सिखा दूं टेक्निक, पर आपको उसका अंडरलाइंग वे ऑफ पुटिंग इट इनटू एग्जीक्यूशन समझ में नहीं आएगा. बट टेक्निक लर्न करना बहुत जरूरी है, नॉट अंडरमाइनिंग द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ इट. But I started podcast for that. And now my season 1 is finished. I did a roundtable. Now I'm on to season 2 of the podcast. I interview theater writers, authors, movie dialogue writers, poets, storytellers, performers, all kinds of writers, lyricists, anyone who has been doing writing for a long enough time that they have a journey to share with us and they have a pattern that they understood through their journey. So I don't interview famous people because fame can be temporary and it does not mean they have gone through a journey. So I rather try to get people who have gone through, at least 5 to 6 years of journey into that space so that they have something really valuable and real to share. And apart from that, so by platform, digital platform, I am on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, full on active. I create everyday videos. Generally, I talk on those videos. I talk about things that come to my mind. I talk random stuff. जैसे अभी मैं बात कर रही हूँ तो इसमें जो बातें हैं उसका अगर आप 30-30 सेकंड निकालो, 1-1 मिनट निकालो, तो that kind of videos I create for my Instagram and Facebook. That is my habit of scripting and writing. I am putting myself into an habit of thinking every day. तो वो forcefully करना पड़ता है मुझे कई बार, but that is something I'm trying to do. Hi Aditi. And then where I am, yeah, so I perform on platforms, but that is very depending on the city I am in. I have not planned a solo show till now of myself. I generally do shows with other artists, and solo show मेरा uncomfortable space है because that doesn't mean just narrating. It will mean planning a whole lot of things. So that fear I am fighting this year. I want to put up a solo show this year. I want to do a tour this year. So that is something I'm trying to get into. And yeah, scripting. Scripting is something that I have not given up since the day I started writing. So English scripts, Hindi scripts. I don't just do poetry scripts. I do normal screen script writing for ad films as well that are dialogue based, story based. So yeah, so that is something that goes on and on with my profession.
So just one more doubt, sorry. So first, when you like kind of had the merchandise business, like you got these celebrities who you made what t-shirts and stuff and that. What like you got a lot of celebrities, right? So what
That because of our investor. It has nothing to do with us. Our investors had a very close relationships with them, and my main investor was a YRF person, a Yashraj film person. So when they got on board and they invested in our brand, they brought in those clients. It had very less to do with us reaching out. Our advantage was that our products were really good, our designs were really good. We understood communication, we understood design content. So I can't take any credit for them coming along. And very frankly, many of them are the reasons why I'm in debt because we couldn't sell those merchandise. That was our weakness. But yeah, so I don't, I say these names because they gives you an easy access to understanding what merchandise, how merchandise plays in the scenarios of events and everything. Because you understand Justin Bieber. So Justin Bieber ka, yes, we were profitable in that sense. A.R. Rahman also we were good. But when we went into movie production houses, our credit cycle faltered and we incurred a lot of debt. So yes, we have worked with a lot of movie production houses. We got a lot of good experiences. We got to meet some of them, but I can't take credit of.
So, when you like kind of got your orders for them, what was your reaction kind of a thing?
As anyone else, too happy.
Because
It helped us pitch to other people. So when you once you get these names on board, it's easier to get the real clients, the ones that will pay you upfront. Because now you can tell them that you work for these celebrities and there is certain quality check that happens at this level because they have managers, they have their full entourage and team that checks the merchandise way before do the sampling and everything. So now when you tell some other company, a much boring brand, that you want to build merchandise, make merchandise for them, it's easy for us to access into their team, get access to their team because we have these names in the background to show our, work and credibility. So yeah, happy. I'm still day happy because it. अभी आपसे बोला तो अच्छा लगा ना, ए आर रहमान के लिए बना है. Yeah.
तो आप कभी कोई पोएम लिखते हो या इफ यू हैव एवर रिटन अ स्टोरी और समथिंग, आपने स्टोरी जैसा कुछ लिखा है?
हाँ.
So for
So
that
story is not
published
my
on
strong suit. Yeah.
okay. नहीं आप बोलो.
But I want to get into it. I have written stories. I have written short films also, but I have just shared it with a very close group of friends of mine. I have never. So I will tell you one thing. What is storytelling? Right now I'm doing storytelling, right? So when I get up on the stage for every poetry, I first establish the context of that poetry. That is storytelling for me. But yes, I haven't written fictional stories of random people who, I create a story around that. I haven't done. Whatever I have done, I haven't shared it anywhere. Like वो मेरा मैं try कर रही हूँ, वो कोशिश कर रही हूँ मैं वो, because I
अच्छा.
think it gives you good stage time.
So you, like, I'm assuming if you've published a book, you've found publishers and you've worked on that entire process. So if I also want to publish a book, I wanted to ask you that how can I find, publishers, or how can I find that outside circle or that entire thing?
So most of the publishers have their email IDs very public on the platforms. And first of all, you will have to be ready with the book. The first thing is not to find the publishers. The first thing is to ready with the draft, ready with the whole idea, so that when you find the right person, when you send them the concept, the book details and everything, you have it ready with you. And if you want to go the other way around, where you find the publisher and then start writing, because I haven't gone through that process myself, I'm not aware of it, but I'm in touch with many authors. So what they do is, initially they wrote the story and they pitched the story to the publishers instead of getting the publisher and started writing. Now they start writing because the publisher asks them to. So now it's the other way around. But initially to get, that entry, that's how they have done, but there's no set rule. You can start pitching your idea, your concept, send them emails. Never take cold mails, underestimate mat karna cold emails ko. Cold emails have a lot of power. Just shoot them mails. Just try to reach out to them on Instagram, here, there, send them your work, show them their work. That is how you get. There is no secret formula to it. And many people want new ideas. It's just the screening process that you need to cross. That's it.
So this is again, which platforms, like I can just search up publishers and then I'll get.
Yeah, but if you're writing English, right? So try to understand कि publishers का भी एक genre होता है, publishers का भी एक anatomy होती है. So if you study what kind of books the publishers have released under their name, you will understand which publisher is suitable for you. So for example, for Hindi writers, there is a different set of publishers, obviously, but for English also, if you try to get into what kind of books they publish, you will understand that where do you fit the most? What is the अगर children's book अगर कोई publish करता है and they are like giving chance to more and more kids to come up with books and everything, you will find your entry point much accessible over there. But again, because I haven't gone through the process, I'm just shooting wild guesses over here. You will have to get
So,
into Googling.
Thank you.
Anamika, I'm sure like this can never end. We are like so much enjoying this. But this will be my last question, and no more questions after this. And which is Aditi's question, that we have a few young writers. Would you like to interview them or guide them? What else to do to come on your platform of podcast?
Okay, so very honestly, on my platform, I haven't planned. मैं दो चीजें बताती हूँ. पहले तो मैंने अभी प्लान नहीं किया है to get writers, to introduce writers to the world. I am already working on the writers, getting writers who have a journey, as I said before. दूसरा, मेरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे आने से आपको फायदा नहीं होगा बिकॉज अभी मेरे प्लेटफॉर्म की विजिबिलिटी उतनी है नहीं. Let me go through 3-4 seasons where people start watching my episode organically. Let me have some viewership so that when I start something like introducing young writers, you do have eyeballs for you, because otherwise it will be something that we just do for each other. Even the names that are well known, they don't get eyeballs. So I'm learning this craft. I'm learning the craft of marketing. I'm learning the craft of editing the podcast, reels, shorts, and everything. So once I have gone through 3-4 seasons, I will be very better at it. I will do it in a much better way. That's when something like this would really work. Otherwise, it will be just like something that we do for our sake, nothing else. So yeah.
So on that note, we would like to close this lovely session with a last poem straight from your mouth. We would like to hear one, please.
Okay, I will again narrate something short and sweet. कि हम सब है ना बहुत शायद पे रह रहे हैं कि यार हम शायद किसी दिन कुछ कर ही लेंगे यार, है ना, शायद हो ही जाएगा. ऐसा थोड़ी है, हो ही जाता है. तो उस पे कुछ लिखा है कि शायद होगा एक दिन होगा, होगा कुछ तो बढ़िया सा. कि शायद होगा एक दिन होगा, होगा कुछ तो बढ़िया सा. शायद सब कुछ वैसा होगा जैसा मैंने सोचा था. शायद मैं भी भरने लगूं ऊंची ऊंची उड़ान. शायद छुआऊं मैं अंबर, बन जाऊं सबकी शान. पर शायद कुछ तो रोक रहा है, जाने क्या है पीछे. पर शायद कुछ तो रोक रहा है, जाने क्या है पीछे. ये शायद ही तो रोक रहा है जो तुझको पीछे खींचे. इस शायद को तू पक्का कर ले, मार ही दे तू छक्का. शब्दों में तू जान ला अपनी, भगा किस्मत का चक्का. That's it.
Superb. Thank you, Anamika.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being a part of
Thank
this.
you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much. That's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Anamika.
Anamika. हमें तो बड़ा मजा आया भाई, बहुत ज्यादा मजा आ गया. अभी नेक्स्ट शो कहाँ कर रहे हो, जल्दी से बता देना, हम आ जाएंगे. गॉन. चलो बाय गाइस, थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन. बाय बाय.